on the phone.
It's dealing with the logistics.
The coaching.
The coaching.
Unless you have somebody holding your hand for keto, you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And if you go on the internet and rely on information, like I'm sure they have, you're getting mixed signals.
Absolutely. You don't know and you're confused. And that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And, hello everyone. Today I bring you an inspiring story of transforming a debilitating chronic illness into a thriving mission to help others heal. My guest today is the founder of Keto Kitchen to Go, and she's going to teach us that food can be medicine and still taste really good. Today we are making a keto-friendly bolognese with the same heart, passion, and purpose that drives everything she does. Please welcome the Keto Queen, Michelle. I'm so happy you're here. Let me welcome you with a toast of my champagne, which a little bit keto-friendly, but not really. I want to talk to you about afterwards.
After we do the damage.
After we do the damage, yes. But we are here to talk about healing your journey. And
when you have a knife like that,
it's okay, I'll drink it. I'm going to do a little sub-brush. Woo! See?
That's a pop.
The champagne is very excited for you.
I bet you say that to all the girls.
Oh, not every time is that excited. All right. So here's to you.
Thank you.
And to your strength and power and what you overcame. Thank you so much for being here. Cheers.
Cheers.
So when I met Michi, so I will call you Michi as all her friends calling her, at our mutual friend's birthday. And we just started chatting about food, that I'm a chef, and your husband, I met your husband first. And then he told me about the Keto Kitchen to Go, and he said, oh, it's actually a very interesting story how we started this business. Michelle was really, really sick with Lyme disease for 13 years, struggling and being in bed for 2 years. She could not walk. And when she told me that story, I got goosebumps and I was shocked. And I could not believe looking at this thriving, beautiful, special woman that healed herself completely with keto diet. So I had so many questions that I want to bring her here. And I know you guys also would benefit from this conversation because a lot of people struggling with different sicknesses and diseases, but we don't know what to do with it. And please tell us, what is exactly keto diet? What is ketosis? Because it's so confusing for most people.
So it's very simple. The ketogenic diet was created actually for healing by the Mayo Clinic over 100 years ago for children with epilepsy. Then Big Pharma came out with anti-seizure medication and it was thrown to the wayside. It became popular because of its fat burning effects. So people were using it to lose weight when in reality, it's a wellness way of living. So your body, when in ketosis, burns fat for fuel rather than carbohydrates. So it's fairly simple. We store fat, we don't store carbs. So the longer you're on keto, actually the less you eat. Once it balances out blood sugars, so you have less cravings and you don't feel like you get satiated a lot quicker.
Okay? Yes, I agree. I actually started this Monday the keto lifestyle, I would say, not even diet. And because I really wanted to try what it does and how I would feel. It's only been 3 days, but I already do feel the difference. You know, sometimes we have this like a little bloating here and something is not right. That is almost gone. I do have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I sleep very well. I think I eat pretty well, but normally.
Yeah.
But there are so many vegetables and fruits and all this ingredients that are inflammatory. So this is basically anti-inflammatory diet with also that is burning fat, and because when you eat too much sugar, it actually, you know, your body works on burning sugar instead of fat So that is a big problem. And when we're young, it's one thing, but when we are aging and getting older, all of those things decline.
Yeah,
and
the
we
metabolic process
yes,
slows down.
Absolutely. So I do feel the difference, and by the way, the food is absolutely delicious. Haven't you created like over 500 recipes?
Almost 500 recipes.
That is insane, because there are so many. You would think keto could be being. It's not. Nothing.
Everyone thinks keto's bacon and cheese,
right?
And it's not.
And it's not. There's so many cuisines. I've had Thai food. I've had all kinds of things that are really cool. And today I'm excited that we are doing this bolognese with hearts of palm pasta. So how did you come up with all these unique recipes?
Because I like to eat. And I realized once I started healing with the ketogenic diet that it had to become a lifestyle. And I did start off, with limited knowledge on what keto was. So I would have, a little bit of sausage and cheese, or bacon and cheese, or avocado and an egg. And even though I was healing and I was hitting all these health little milestones
yes.
on a weekly basis and felt so great, I got very bored of what I thought keto was. And both my husband and I are chefs for fun. We love to eat, we love to cook. And we said, why not turn our favorite dishes into something we can actually eat and make them keto friendly? So that's what we started doing. And because we love Asian cuisine, Mexican, Cuban, from all over the world, we took our favorites and tweaked them a little. Where now, you get healthy, you eat delicious, and you have no guilt.
I absolutely agree with that. It's so delicious, it's so clean, and you could feel that you are nurturing your body. But I want to go back to your Lyme disease. How it was for you, and what did you go through? How did that happen? It was how many years ago?
It started in 2006.
Okay.
And I was in Europe, in Spain, and I got bit by a tick. I didn't know. My husband and I had recently started dating, and we were dancing and drinking a lot and having a lot of fun. And I came back to the States with a big bruise on my thigh. It was a beautiful rainbow bruise. And suddenly I developed 104 fever, aches and pains. I was lethargic. I didn't know what it was. And I went to go see my primary care physician. And I was wearing shorts that day. And he saw my leg. And he had, seen what my symptoms were. And he goes, you have Lyme disease. Which was really random because no one in Miami, knew about Lyme disease in 2006. It's just, it's prevalent in the Northeast, in parts of Europe. I was outdoor. I was actually skeet shooting, and I have a photograph of the moment I got bit by the tick. So it's documented for posterity. So anyway, so I don't bore you too much. He sent me a round of Z-Pak, which is a broad spectrum antibiotic, yes. 5 days. Of course, I felt better because I had a bacteria in my body that was killed momentarily with the Z-Pak. But then for years, I was getting sick all the time. I got pregnant. I had a miscarriage. It was just up and down.
A few miscarriages because of Lyme disease.
5 miscarriages because of Lyme.
And you did have a diagnosis from the beginning, but
I had a diagnosis, but because in Florida we're not very familiar with Lyme, I thought it was like having a cold, and the Z-Pak took it away in a week. I didn't realize that once you contract something as debilitating as Lyme, that it stays with you. And I didn't know that we feed disease. I knew nothing about nutrition back then. So I just kept on living my life. I had a very successful production company and catering company back in the day. So I was doing events almost 7 days a week, working myself to the bone. And I thought, I'm getting sick because of stress. I'm getting sick because I'm drinking. I'm getting sick because I'm working till 3 o'clock in the morning. So you always excuse, the signs your body is trying to give you, okay? And the most important thing is to listen to your body. It's designed to heal you.
How did you realize that this is actually the Lyme disease that is causing this sickness that you've experienced?
Okay, well, that took almost 10 years.
10 years to
almost
really
10
realize.
years to realize it.
And back then, like you're saying, it wasn't as, now we are all, more educated on many things, but back then it was very, very difficult.
Back then, and then fast forward,
ago, yeah.
Yeah, fast forward to almost 10 years later, we're in Europe again, and we get bit by another tick.
Oh no, second time.
Second time. I don't realize I got bit, but my husband gets bit by several ticks, and he gets rushed to the hospital to get the ticks removed properly, because there's an actual technique to removing the ticks. And
So he also experiencing Lyme disease?
yes,
Yes, both of you.
so it's a love story.
It is a love story.
I got it a second time, he got it a first time. And then he started showing symptoms 10 days after being bit. And we were in Paris, and he goes to the doctor. They knew nothing about Lyme disease in Paris, so they sent him 3 weeks of doxycycline because the doctor went online and Googled it. And so when we get back to the States, my brother, who's a biochemist, recommends that I get tested for Lyme.
Okay.
And lo and behold, I came out positive. So I had had the regular Lyme test, a test for antibodies, and it came back negative. And then I had what was called back then the I-spot, which tests for infected T cells, and it was off the charts. So that's how they were able to determine, because most Lyme tests available have false negatives.
And is there better testing these days available?
I'm a little disconnected from the testing, because in my book, after everything I've lived, it really doesn't matter what diagnosis they give you. If you're not feeling well, address it. Something is off. We're supposed to live in balance. So this is why keto comes in so handy, because it starves pathogens.
Absolutely. And actually, Michi works and coaches people with various diseases, including cancer. So again, many foods feed the disease instead of curing it, and this is an absolutely incredible thing that you do for the world, for the people, that they're very fortunate to have you and your company caring to them and healing their bodies. This is absolutely
I feel it's a blessing, because when I started keto, there was barely any information on the diet, and it was very frustrating because I basically knew nothing about it.
And your husband told me that you were basically for 13 years sick and 2 years bed rest, and he was reading this book where he saw one line: I treated my Lyme disease with keto diet. That's all that was in the book, correct?
That was all. It was the author is Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss. I have his book here, and you decided to do the research, and you found out Mayo Clinic did the first research 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And you said it comes from the Bible. I did not.
Actually, well, we can talk about that some other time. I don't want anybody who's religious coming at me.
No. It's not about religion. It's just interesting that some things are already written out there in such holy books, and we don't even pay attention.
So it's kind of a cute story, since you touched on it. You know, back in the day when they thought that people were possessed by the devil, they would lock them away in a cave and basically starve them. No water, no food. Okay, and 3 days later they'd come out being normal. What they didn't realize is that they weren't possessed by anything. They were having seizures. Their tongues were rolling, their eyes were rolling back. They put them in a cave for 3 days, epilepsy. Put them in the cave, 3 days, no food. The body goes into a natural state of ketosis, meaning when you produce ketones, the most important thing is you produce one ketone called beta-hydroxybutyrate that blocks the immunoreceptors in the body that cause inflammation. So that alone is life-changing. And so these people would go into ketosis, reduce the amount of inflammation in their body, and come out 3 days later feeling like a different person. So it wasn't that they had seen God, you know, it was just that their body had become less inflamed and less reactive to their disease.
And we all know how fasting is great for you, and it is also in many religions, the fasting process. And I do always feel great when I can fast for 24, 48 hours, even 24 hours makes a big difference. And I absolutely
I just did a 3-day fast.
Bravo. Well, it's time to start cooking so you could eat a little bit.
That's it.
Right?
No, I broke my fast a few days ago, but we're good.
All right, so we will start cooking, because this recipe is really unique, and I'm really grateful that you shared with our viewers that you guys can actually download that QR code and read the recipe, because Michelle was very generous to share it with all of us, because it's her recipes that she developed, she created, and it's not an easy thing. So I appreciate that so much.
There'll be a book coming out at the end of the year.
Awesome, awesome. I can't wait for the book, and I'm going to be your first client to buy it for sure. So how do we start cooking? I chopped here some onions.
Okay, so basically we'll start by sauteing the onions and the garlic.
In olive oil. So you cook in olive oil?
No,
or?
I don't cook in olive oil. In the commercial kitchen, we cook with organic refined coconut oil.
Coconut oil, okay.
But you can cook in grass-fed butter, you can cook in beef tallow, you can cook in bacon fat. Okay, I try not to cook with olive oil.
Okay, so
there's different arguments about how much heat it can handle.
Heat resistance, right.
Okay, so you basically saute the garlic, the onions, okay, till
with
translucent.
bacon?
No, we can do it with avocado oil if you want.
I have avocado oil here.
Okay.
Let me grab it. Well, I have everything. I have butter and everything. I just wasn't
okay, well, we'll
sure
do
what
quickie.
you prefer. Yes. So we're gonna show you a little bit of the process, but of course, as you know, Bolognese sauce takes a long time. So we will just show you, and then you know, you will have to cook it for a much longer time. How long usually it takes for you to make your delicious
If I'm
sauce?
making it at home, it takes a few hours because the whole trick is in all the ingredients simmering together to absorb all the flavors, because it's going to have capers, it's going to have kalamata, so it's a little twist to regular bolognese. But we also give you what we call keto quickie recipes that you can bang them out, you know, in less than half an hour. Okay?
Yes. So we will start by sauteing onions and garlic.
Yeah,
correct?
saute onions and garlics. Once the onions are translucent, okay, and the garlic has lost its bite,
Yes.
okay,
What would,
we'll add the kalamata and the capers.
and I would have to chop those as well.
No, you don't have to chop, because ultimately, once you're done with this process, we use the immersion blender.
Okay.
At the end. So we will add the
So we just
tomatoes
get-
after this is simmered together for a little bit. We'll add the tomatoes, and then the final step is basically using a blender or an immersion hand blender, okay, to combine all the ingredients and make like a puree.
Got you.
Okay.
So that's why we can skip that step
Yeah.
of chopping the olives and capers, and we just blend it all together.
Yeah. Quickies.
What is 4 G's that you live
Oh,
by? I love that so much. Please tell us about it.
Oh God, okay, so I think, you know, every single cell in your body listens to everything that comes out of your mouth, to every smile, every frown. So in my house, we practice the 4 G's, which is waking up with gratitude, okay, waking up with giggles,
Yes.
healing your gut, okay, and then doing something great. That can be smiling at a stranger as you walk out of your home, okay? Somebody drops a piece of garbage, picking it up, calling an old friend that you haven't talked to, but making a conscious effort to connect and do good.
And you absolutely exude that. When I met you, I just thought how positive and how happy you are. And it really definitely shows, because saying this but not living by it, it's you know, 2 different things. And
Yeah.
when you start living with gratitude and conscious living, as you say, it definitely changes your life, but also lives around you. The
Yeah.
world around you becomes more beautiful and more special. And that's what I felt from you.
Oh, thank you, Edvina.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
important because with technology today, you know, we get out of bed, the first thing we do is maybe shut off our iPhone because the alarm went off, and then you check to see what important message has come in, you know, to start your day off, or what have I missed, or, you know, the immediate stress is there from the second you shut off that alarm. And what I like to do, which I never did before, but it changed, is you go to the mirror and you look at yourself and you start by appreciating who you are.
Yes,
because this is a
absolutely.
blessing, being here, you know, keeping the human contact. You smile at yourself. You tell yourself you're wonderful. As women, most of us are raised to not really value ourselves, but to value those that we have to take care of.
Absolutely agree with you.
So we're, I mean, third-rate citizens to ourselves. for the most part. So it takes a lot of work to move ourselves up in that ladder. And that starts by acknowledging your existence in that mirror every morning and being grateful and taking it from there.
Yes, and it's very, very important to appreciate little things you've done, because we could be, as you said, hard on ourselves, women. And I'm so, so happy that this whole month I had very special, powerful, beautiful, incredible women in my kitchen. And that you women inspire me so much. Women like you that are beautiful, smart, resilient, and done so much. And it's just changing really the world. Michelle, tell me a little bit about your coaching program. How can people reach you, and how can they have that opportunity to have you to hold their hand? Because it's always very confusing for people when they just begin this journey.
So basically anybody can contact me through our website or through my cell number. I'm available 24/7 almost. Don't take that literal, because I have clients that call me at 11:30 at night. You know, the coaching is very important, because I found that when I started this, I was blind going into this. And had I had someone, you know, cutting all those corners and giving me, like they say, the cliff notes of what this is, I would have started to heal even faster. Okay? So anybody can cook keto. You can, you know, you can put a meal together, but if once you start going into ketosis, you don't realize what's happening to your body. You don't realize you're going into the keto flu and not dying of a heart attack. Okay?
So you have symptoms of a flu.
You have symptoms because it takes the body, depending on your biochemistry, time to adapt to a thermogenic process.
Something new you would feel that might throw you off, but it's a normal thing.
Nausea, vomiting, headaches, dizziness, muscle cramps.
I'm feeling great.
I know, you're not the norm.
I don't have any of those symptoms whatsoever. I actually have super crazy energy.
Okay.
I sleep really well. I always sleep well.
But it's your first week.
It is. So it's going to happen later?
So as the body detoxes and you start acclimating to burning fat for fuel, things can come up.
Okay.
I've been on this almost 9 years, and there's moments where, depending on stress, my cortisol levels, etc., I can experience keto flu symptoms. And I should be fat adapted by now.
Oh, this is very
interesting. Okay, so it's just, you know, the body is ever changing. You know, it's interesting to hear from my clients where they're at when they start. So when they're scared, I had one client today telling me she was having, you know, panic attacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling scared, and there's nobody there, okay, it gets even scarier. So she immediately called me. I talked her down. I calmed her down. I told her, you know, what to do. I told her to get her electrolytes into her water. I told her to have a meal, you know, to breathe. And then she was better. And that's just a minor thing. You know, I have other clients that are going through, you know, horrible cancers or HIV, and the symptoms are more severe. And they have questions about, you know, whatever therapy they're applying, whether it's chemo, radiation, or proton, in conjunction with keto.
Do you have any clients that you completely healed with keto diet from any
I don't make any
diseases?
claims. I healed myself. Yeah, but it's a very, I'm not a doctor. Okay? And even when you Google keto and healing, you're going to get a very careful response, even from the internet.
Of course.
Okay? It's studies show, people say, there's no facts. All I can tell you is after living this way.
But the fact is you. You are the fact who went through such a horrible disease, and you completely healed yourself. And I think we are so afraid of listening to our own bodies, to understanding that no one knows your body better than you, no any doctor. I do not, you know, disqualify doctors, but
there's very good ones.
But it's very important to also be in harmony with your own body and listen to yourself and realize what things work for you and what don't. And I'm always been a big believer that with diet you could heal yourself. And my daughter was at one point very sick when she was little, and I healed her. Well, I didn't know then, but it was a keto diet, so bone broth and you know, Amish butter, dairy, like that is raw.
Raw dairy.
Raw dairy. I healed her when she she could not even walk. Her knees would snap back when she stand up. And the doctor said, wow, what did you do? You were giving her the medication. But I could not approve myself for giving a little child medication. I could not believe that this is a norm. So I stopped giving her medication on my own without consulting the doctors because I did not believe in the medication.
That's amazing because you probably saved her from secondary side effects.
Exactly.
Because
from
of
another
the medication.
illness and chronic disease. I want to go back to this quickly. So we sauteed the onions and garlic. I threw some capers and olives, and now we are.
And now, so it's been simmering for a while. We can throw in some tomatoes.
Can throw them all here.
Not all. Remember that tomatoes have carbs and a little bit of sugar, so you always want to limit how much of a healthy carb you put into it.
So yes, can you explain a little bit of that? How much should I leave here? And in terms of ratio, can you explain to us?
So ratio, keto works on a 70% fat, 25% protein, 5% carbs. Okay, it's very difficult if you don't have a scale with you all the time. So my rule of thumb, and I always, try to keep it simple for everybody, is if you're preparing anything, usually prepare half the amount of protein you would normally. Okay, because we overeat as a society. So half the amount, and then limit anything that has carbs, allowable carbs, the capers, the tomato, the onions, etc.
Don't forget that all the vegetables contain carbs, which means sugar, correct? So remember that part. And
that has to be 5%.
5% ratio.
I usually, recommend a fistful of whatever veggie or sauce you're going to put.
But for this much meat is okay to have this much.
That's a lot of meat. Are we making it for one person, or is everybody here going to eat?
Everyone, the whole building. Well, this is just a small portion, but we have a recipe with all the amounts there for you guys. But I always like to make extra to keep it. For
so how
later.
much meat do you have there?
Well, we're not going to use it all. Probably 4 pounds.
Okay, so then let's just use 1 pound.
Okay.
Okay.
We adding it to here.
Yeah, we're adding it to there. Okay.
All right. We have really good quality beef.
Actually, no, we need to add it to here because this has to be pureed.
Okay.
Okay.
So now this will finish sauteing, and then we will just cook the meat on its own.
Yeah, just cook the meat. Very simple. We're going to make it, like I said, keto quickie recipe. So you don't get too complicated. You put your oil, medium to high heat. You basically mash up the ground beef.
Yes.
Okay, and you can brown it.
So we'll wait for a second.
Okay.
What inspired you to actually create this incredible business, Keto Kitchen to Go?
Oh, wow. So this was never meant to be a business. I had started doing keto for my husband and myself in 2017. And a year later, I get a call from a friend. She says, my son can't walk. He's got Lyme disease. Can you tell him how to eat like you? I said, wow. So I call him and I explained to him how he has to put, like I'm trying to explain to you guys today. And he said, Mitchie, it's fine, but I can't walk.
Yeah, how am I going to
cook? So coincidentally, my daughter was homesick, and because we treat her homeopathically, it takes long, and I was home going crazy. Because as much as I love my child, I am not a stay-at-home mom. So I told him, so-and-so, I'm going to make the meals for you. Send your girlfriend to my house, okay, and I'll send them home to you. So I went to Publix, I bought glass Tupperwares, I made the food, I sent it to him. Within a week, he was out.
A week?
A week.
But he was very fortunate that he addressed his mom, knew about your story, and addressed it so quickly.
I have to be honest, she wasn't sold. She didn't believe in it, but she knew that my husband and I were functioning again. And, as a parent, we do anything for our kids. So I think this was like the last straw. Like, hopefully this will work. And so when he started feeling better, he told a friend of his who had gotten Lyme in the golf course. Okay, and then the other one, then he told a friend that had cancer. And so I started cooking out of my house. At one point I was cooking 160 meals, and I had friends picking up the food and taking them to people.
And that's how it all began.
And then one day I was just like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
This is
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating story. And I remember also you were saying when you were in bed, right?
Yeah.
And after eating keto diet, you already were able to walk in 24 hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
This
So-
is something that is super fascinating
Yeah,
to me.
it sounds like I was resurrected from the dead. It's a little bit less drastic than that, but very showing of what the diet does. I had such high inflammatory markers. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get enough oxygen in my lungs to walk. Plus, I was diagnosed with Lyme rheumatoid arthritis. So the pain was just horrifying. And it would take me a good 5 minutes to try to get up in the morning with the assistance of my husband to get me to the bathroom that was 10 feet away. And within 24 hours of starting to eat what I thought was keto, I walked myself from my bed to the bathroom. Not completely straight, but I didn't need anyone's help. And the crazy thing is that in a week's time, I was actually skiing with my family. In a lot of pain, but I did it.
That is so fascinating. I'm just so impressed. I was so blown away by your story that I wanted everyone to take this and make something out of it for them, for their good for their health. This is very, very special. And Keto Kitchen is available only in Miami.
No, so we ship nationally.
You do?
Yeah, we ship nationally. It's
Look
a
at
week
that.
delayed, but we can get it to you nationally.
That
We do
is
coaching
amazing.
all over the world, via Zoom, via WhatsApp, depending on what the client needs.
And they can find all that information on ketokitchen2go.com.
On the website, yeah.
So go there, and if you need help from Michi, she'll help you to get through your chronic illness. Hopefully, you will, take care of that. This is really fascinating.
Can I just say one
Yes,
thing?
please.
So I advise all of you, based on what I've been through, to never take what your medical practitioner says as,
Death
as
sentence.
as a death sentence.
Which your medical practitioner?
Yeah. When
did.
my medical practitioner sent me home to die, and when I told him I was going to attempt the ketogenic diet, he laughed at me and said, "When you're done playing around, come see me." Fast forward 9 months, I'm in remission, and he suffered a heart attack from Lyme. Okay?
He did.
He did. He did,
Wow.
and he's not practicing anymore. So all I'm suggesting is listen to your body, second guess what anyone says to you about health, including me. Okay, just become more present and more active in your own well-being. Okay?
Thank you so much for that. By the way, I just want to show you, these are the meals. They are packed beautifully, and this brioche bread is absolutely incredible. So the way the meals come, you could order 5 or 3 a day, correct?
Yeah, well, it's a 15 meal plan.
15 meal plan.
Or 20 meal plan. Everything's made fresh, daily, organic,
Delivered
humanely
warm.
sourced,
Yes.
which is important.
This is unbelievable. They just delivered to your doorsteps, and it's ready, and it's so convenient. You don't have to think about anything, but you have to think. You have to think what you're eating, pay attention, and take notes so you can continue. If you can't keep ordering, you could start creating these meals for yourself by yourself. And I want to show you this delicious ricotta pizza that I'm going to have today for lunch. I'm super excited. Every dish that I've tried was so absolutely delicious.
You mean you're not going to have the bolognese?
I will. I'm going to have it all. I'm going to have it all. It actually keeps your appetite pretty suppressed because you are full. You're full.
What happens is when you're doing any type of carb diet, whether it's regular amount of carbs or low carb, carbs tell the neurotransmitters in the brain that you have to continue eating. Okay? We also burn the carbs, so we have to replenish. On a ketogenic diet, the fat dictates what the brain receives, and fat, unlike carbs, tells the brain, basta. You're done eating, you're full. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, we store fat, we don't store carbs. So we become like a horse and a camel crossing the desert. The horse has to stop and replenish every so often.
Yes.
The camel has water and fat in its humps. So it's hydrated and it gets its energy from the fat it carries. So You get more bang for your buck.
We are becoming camels in the
Yes.
best possible way.
I'm missing a few humps. You've got more humps than I do.
Well, you got a great posture. That is important. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting this journey with keto?
Keep an open mind. It's the opposite of everything we've known as far as nutrition and health goes. It's the opposite of everything we've been taught. And don't be afraid of cholesterol. One of the biggest problems that society has today is that for the last 40 years, we've been told fat is bad for you. Hormones live off cholesterol. The brain needs cholesterol. The mitochondria needs cholesterol. Mitochondria is like basically the battery in every single cell in our body. Okay, we've been told not to eat red meat because it's toxic. On a conventional diet, it can take up to 3 days to digest. So it does become toxic. On a ketogenic diet, red meat is gone in an hour or two, depending on your biochemistry. And you need
Also,
the
when
red
you buy
meat.
quality,
You buy quality.
yeah, all of the Keto Kitchen to go is organic and hormone-free, antibiotic-free. It's all really great, high quality.
And the meats are grass-fed start to finish. It's humanely sourced. We believe in holistic eating. The energy you put into what you prepare and what you eat comes in on a cellular level and on a spiritual level. So it has to be made with love and caring, and we execute that from the second we choose an olive, okay, till the driver gets to your house and deposits
And I
the bag.
absolutely know what you're talking about. That's the way I cook, with lots of love, caring and sourcing each ingredient with so much attention. For me, I'm obsessed with ingredients, with quality. I go above and beyond, and I do feel it in your kitchen, Keto Kitchen to go as well, because when I eat it, I feel that love. It's really, really comes across.
That's the most important thing to us.
Are there any foods that you really miss while you're on keto?
You know, I have to say I've been relatively carb-free for almost 9 years, and I don't. We're able to have chocolate, we have cacao, we launched an online bakery called Totally Baked Miami. We're selling at Casa Tua Cucina and other markets, and we've been able to replace all the sweets that we used to eat that were bad for us, that were inflammatory, that were causing damage, with sweets that are now healing us. So we got that. As far as pasta, what we're making today, we're making with a hearts of palm pasta. Okay?
How do you come up with all the substitute ingredients that are so unusual for most of us? And I love hearts of palm, and I've tried the fresh ones in Brazil, when they cut it open for you and they grill it, and they are so delicious. Very different texture, very different flavor. It's really great. But I want to show you guys that you could actually buy ready, basically spaghetti or different linguine. They have all
different
kinds
cuts.
So we have these two brands. One of them is from Trader Joe's, and it's really clean. There is nothing. There are no bad ingredients here. Same as with this one, which is called Palmini. You can buy it on Amazon. You could see the link in my storefront, and also just for you to know, there are links in the recipe for all of those ingredients. And they have, you could shred the canned hearts of palm, right? You could do. It's pretty easy. It sounds in the beginning very, unusual, of course, but then when you figure it out, it's not that hard. Correct?
Yeah. And again, these are shortcuts, because the most complicated part of keto is having the meals prepped and ready to go, especially in the beginning when you start having withdrawals from sugar. Okay, you don't want to not be prepared.
Absolutely.
Okay,
you want to have everything there for you too.
When hunger strikes, you want to be able to just like
for your cravings. I don't ever have. I'm not a sugar person. I'm more. By the way, this is the question to you. I'm a salty girl.
Yeah.
So, am I allowed to add any salt when I eat? Am I allowed to add some extra cilantro?
Cilantro, yes. Spices, yes. Salt, yes. Make sure your salts are clean.
Yeah.
You want salts with high trace
Celtic
minerals.
salt and
no table salt.
No table, no kosher. I already talked about it so many times. Please go to your kitchen cabinet and get rid of all the crappy salt that is produced in labs. So get the real good salt that comes from France, and it's really accessible for you. Also, some of the salt pans in Italy, they're really good salts, and even in Alaska.
Yeah.
It's an Alaskan company that does great salt. So yeah, that is very important.
And
So
actually, salt is very important in a ketogenic diet because when you're burning fat for fuel, you have a tendency to get dehydrated. So the salt, the electrolytes, the trace minerals in them help you absorb the water.
okay.
Okay? And hydration is key.
So and you have to drink a lot of water, correct? And I know if you don't get enough hydration, just add a little bit of that salt into your water, and it helps you to absorb. And what is your favorite recipe from the Keto Kitchen to go? Do you have like your most favorite one?
My most favorite one, I typically don't sell because it has a lot of backlash. But my husband's French, Persian, and we love foie gras. So we usually have our brioche.
Yes.
We slice it, we toast it with a little bit of butter and a little slice of foie gras with a little cranberry compote, which is low on the glycemic index, and that is, but we don't send it.
I would love to make for you a foie gras, keto-friendly. I love foie gras as well, and I make a really interesting combination. So maybe when you come to dinner to my house, I will cook for you. And if you hosted a dream dinner party, who would you invite, and what would you cook?
Let's see. I would invite Gary Brecka, who's my biohacking crush.
Expert? Oh my God, yes.
I think he's brilliant and humble and hasn't been tainted by social media. And what would I cook? I would probably make my keto lasagna, which is with amatriciana, ricotta, bechamel, and we make our dehydrated cauliflower sheets to replace the lasagna sheets, and you feel like you're cheating.
Oh, that sounds so good.
And that's available on our plan.
So good. All right, I want to go back to the recipe. So after we cook this, we will blend it, correct?
Yes, you blend it. You can add a little bit of water.
Water.
Okay.
Okay.
No more tomato, just a little bit of water till you get the consistency you like. Then you can incorporate the meat.
And keep cooking?
Keep cooking, add a little bit of salt. Be very careful because kalamata is salty and so are capers.
So are the capers,
so
yes.
salt to taste, and then once it's done, you garnish it with a little basil chiffonade or basil leaves, and then you can top it with olive oil once it's done.
Okay, now Michelle was gracious enough to bring a ready bolognese and the sauce, and now we will serve it and show it to you how it's done. So we have the our pasta from Hearts of Palm.
So let me get a little plate.
Yeah, I will give you the plate.
Okay. And so these are estimated quantities, so you don't overeat any carbs. Okay.
Yes, exactly. The good thing about it that I like is that all the meals are, the portions are really nicely done. It looks kind of small, but when you eat it, you are so full, and it's just satisfying and fulfilling. It's just perfect. We have our beautiful bolognese sauce here. This is already combined. I will show you when we plate it. Gorgeous. Yes, and this is the sauce, the tomato sauce.
Okay.
So you see, I noticed right now that Amici put very little bit of the tomato. Like she said, you have to control the ratio here, correct?
Exactly.
So
and then, now wait, we're not done.
Oh yes.
No. I need to get the
cheese,
the aged Parmesan.
The aged Parmesan.
Let me, you know what, my hands are
Yes,
clean.
it's your hands, please. This hands create this beauty.
This is, remember that fat is your friend. Do not be afraid of the fat component because you don't want the body not registering enough fat in the meal and turning the protein into sugar. You want to avoid that. So it has to be properly measured. And then the olive oil.
Olive oil. This smells divine. Wow, that's quite a bit of olive oil. Do you see that, guys? Look how gorgeous this pasta looks.
Embrace the fat, guys. Fat is your friend.
I see a lot of times the people eating sticks of butter. Is that like more?
Okay, that's a little excessive.
Too much, right?
No, you know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I'm gonna taste it. Michelle, I'll make a plate for you after I taste it. Or no, you know what? Let's taste it together.
Okay.
All right, if you don't mind. So
Let's see if I can make this look good.
Of course, you can make anything look good. It's incredible. It's
You're not
unbelievable.
missing real
I'm
pasta.
not missing real pasta whatsoever.
And you can make the same dish, I mean, with the hearts of palm, with pesto, with carbonara, with vodka sauce, whatever sauce, Italian sauce you like. And we even make it the Asian way. So we just sent this week pork pad thai.
It was amazing.
With the same
I
noodles.
had it last night.
Yeah.
It was delicious. Like I said, everything is so delicious. Are there any exciting projects or new things that you're working on?
Well, we're expanding the bakery, which is great because Keto Kitchen is a labor of love. You know, it's my baby and we want to help people heal throughout the world, but we need to monetize the company.
Absolutely.
So that would be through the bakery. So we're expanding the bakery.
And this is such a great thing because it's so hard to find good bread, keto-friendly, that tastes good actually.
Yeah.
Not just, good for you, but then it tastes like crap.
Exactly.
So this tastes absolutely delicious and incredible.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you, Michi,
Here we go
for
again.
being here. And we're going to wrap this up. And I appreciate you being here today and walking us through your journey and showing us that you could thrive and live, and food is medicine, and you are the true example of what you've done and what you've become. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Nicole, thank you.
Cheers to all of you.
Everybody.
Please-
Happy healing.
Happy healing, exactly. See you next week for another exciting show. Cheers.
Cheers.